Hello there, welcome to episode 2 of Football's Going Home. My name is Ryan Walker, of course, and today we're heading down inside sunny, lovely Manchester, as you can see, down to Old Trafford. Now, it's a little bit of a different episode today, and that is because it is the tragic anniversary of the Manchester Munich Air disaster that happened on the 6th of February 1958. It's the 66-year anniversary, so forget form, forget the Premier League titles, all the other things that we like to talk about as football supporters. Today is the darkest day in Manchester United's history, and it's the day that every year there's a special service held down at Old Trafford, and also today across in Munich as well. So we'll be at Old Trafford in about 10-minute walk. Hopefully we're not too wet. We'll be showing you what's going on there. We'll be telling you more about that tragic day 66 years ago when 23 people lost their lives. And it's going to be quite an emotional episode, but I also hope that it's an informative episode for those of you that can't be here today and come and see why this means so much to Manchester United, and also English football and European football as well. So, like I said, we'll be down to the ground in about 10 minutes. Hopefully the rain stops, but if not, we'll be still filming. All the best anyway. So we've made it to Old Trafford. It's wet, it's windy, it's not very nice, but the crowd are just round the corner near the Munich plinth. They are turning out in their numbers, and it's great to see that on the 66th anniversary of the Manchester United Munich Air disaster that happened on the 6th of February 1958, the crowd to this day, old, young supporters, they all turn out and show their appreciation for the great Busby Babes. Now, for those of you that aren't really aware of what actually happened, I'm just going to fill you in with a little bit of knowledge before we head over to the event itself. Now, on the 6th of February 1958, Manchester United were flying back from Belgrade. Now, they were there for a quarter-final European Cup tie that they drew 3-3. That meant that it would go into the semi-finals, where they would eventually play Milan. Now, plane travel was a real luxury back then, and the planes didn't have the technology they have nowadays. Now, Manchester United, it wasn't just them on board. There was 44 people on board the flight. Now, when they were flying back, they couldn't just make the trip back from Belgrade to Manchester in one single trip, so they decided to stop in Munich to refuel. And of course, February, the weather's cold, it was bitter, and unfortunately, it was ice and it was snow as well. Manchester United are on board British European Airways flight 609. They decided to stop, like I said, in Munich, which back then at the Munich-Riem Airport was part of West Germany, and they decided to refuel for the final leg of the trip to Manchester. The crew and the staff on the planes, that you had journalists, because back then journalists could fly with the team 2 trips, which of course nowadays we can't, unfortunately. And you had players, you had coaching staff, you had friends as well on board that plane. Now, on the first attempt at taking off, the plane couldn't get through the slushy snow to get to the speed required to take off. They then tried again for a second time to try and build up enough speed to take off, and they had to abort that takeoff as well. At that stage, the players and the coaching staff were escorted off the planes, and they were escorted back into the terminal, where they were, I think many of them, what we were told is that many of them believed that the plane would be cancelled, and they would simply just have to fly at a late time. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon by this point. 5 minutes after 3 o'clock, they got back on the plane, and they took that final, third fateful trip down the runway. Now, 23 people died on that plane. The darkest day in Manchester United football history. One of the darkest days in English and European history as well. Now, when they went down the runway for the third attempt, the plane slid off the runway. It went far off the runway, and it eventually crashed, broke into parts, and like I said, 23 people tragically lost their lives. The 8 players that died that day for Manchester United were all in their 20s. Roger Byrne, captain at the time, was 28. Eddie Coleman, 21. Mark Jones, 24. David Pegg, 22. Tommy Taylor, 26. Jeff Bent, 25. Liam Whelan, 22. And Duncan Edwards, just 21 years of age. You also had the club secretary, Walter Crickmer, the trainer, Tom Curry, and the chief coach, Bert Wally. And alongside those were 8 journalists that died, Frank Swift was one of the journalists along those, actually a former Manchester City keeper. And you also had the plane captain, Sir Matt Busby's great friend, Willie Satinoff, travel agent, Bella Miklos, and the crew member as well. So tragic events, and that is why to this day we still remember the Busby Babes. We still remember what happened that day. There was a service over in Munich earlier today as well, and hopefully you get to see a little bit more of why this day is so important to Manchester United.
Matt Busby's boys were flying, returning from Belgrade.
In the reign of the Babe Busby Babes, with a tense 3-3 draw on an aggregate score.
So we've just finished the Manchester Munich Air disaster 66th anniversary memorial event here at Old Trafford. We were round at the Munich plinth, was around the corner, which you've seen some of the snippets that I put in the video. The service started at 2:40. It was led by the club's chaplain, and then it went on for a good, I'd say a good 40 minutes or so here in the rain. Everyone was very respectful. It was a really great turnout as well. We had the likes of Manchester United first team men's captain Bruno Fernandes here, women's team captain Katie Zalem here, Sir Alex Ferguson was in attendance, Sir Jim Ratcliffe was in attendance, Erik was in attendance, women's manager Mark Skinner was in attendance, all paying their respects to this event, and it was just a very, I guess actually a very emotional event. We had poems that were read out by different people, different supporters. We also had a poem read out by one of the under-13s academy players here, and he talked about the importance of kind of the education of Manchester United Academy graduates here at the club, and how the Busby Babes is really something that they're still educated about today. Now, I wish there was probably more that we could have showed you the actual service itself, but of course it was kind of difficult when choosing your moments to get your phone out and record. But it was a great service attended by all. There was some actually really emotional chanting that went on from Man United fans at different times of service. It was encouraged. Then you had Bruno Fernandes and Katie Zalem laid down a wreath. So did two academy players, youngsters that are just coming through the academy as well, and so did Erik and the women's team captain Mark Skinner. Now, the importance of the Busby Babes really can't be understated at Manchester United on the 66th anniversary of the event. You'd maybe think that the rain today, because there's been so much of it, it's been torrential all day in Manchester, it might have stopped people. It didn't. And actually very few of them, where it's smart enough, brought umbrellas as well. So everyone got a little bit wet, but it was really important for everyone to pay their respects here on this, which is the darkest day in Manchester United's history. There's also an event going on in Munich today, I believe with former Man United assistant coach Mike Phelan, who was assistant Sir Alex Ferguson, and also during Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial reign at the club. He visited the grave of Franz Beckenbauer, and then he also did some other kind of memorial services that went on over in Munich today as well. So it was a great service, attended by all, very respectful, like I said. I think it was one really actually interesting thing was that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was here today. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is obviously this new investor in Manchester United with a 25% stake in the club that's still going through at the minute. He's been very hands-on. Ever since his kind of investment in the club was announced by Manchester United on Christmas Eve, and in all the years that I think United supporters have kind of been coming to these events, never seen Glazers here. Glazer family, we've not seen him in attendance. Sir Jim Ratcliffe didn't make a big fanfare of him being in attendance, just walked on in quietly alongside Sir Alex Ferguson. They seem to have struck up a really good working relationship. And it seemed that United fans really appreciated him being here, because it shows that the people that are above and in the board of Manchester United are actually wanting to show their face and show supporters that are genuine. So it was great to see him here. It was great to see so many different people in attendance at Old Trafford today. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned a little bit more about the Busby Babes and history of the Munich Air disaster. I'm Ryan Walker. Thank you for watching Football's Going Home. We'll be back soon with more.